got a view of one of the most powerful waterfalls in the world, that of Niagara Falls. You know, over 3,100 tons of water flows over the falls every single second. And that's a part of why it looks green. You can see that sort of green shading just on the edge of the falls here. It's the erosion occurring by that rushing water, dissolving minerals, salt, limestone, and also shale on the rock bed. Some experts say, in fact, 60 tons of dissolved minerals are swept over Niagara Falls every minute. How is that? Wow. Currently 8 degrees in Niagara, and the water is sitting at 3 degrees. But happy Friday, everybody. Look at that, TGIF. Thanks for sharing some of your time with me. I'm Anwar, your host. Always a privilege to have your company. We say hello to Star, who was officially first one on the board to say hello, but we have many of you joining us. Alan is here, Cindy, Linda, also Leslie and Miranda saying happy Friday. Barbara, Connie, and Betty says, hi, everyone. Thanks. Another Friday day. Yeah, no kidding. And Linda says, love Niagara. Brenda Sim is also watching us. And, oh, she's making squash soup. Ooh, are you taking orders? Sign me up, I'm in. Kathy Murray is saying good Friday afternoon, so is Donna and Helen. It is great to have you along here today. I don't know, did it seem like a long week? I'm sort of 50-50. It wasn't super long, but it wasn't quick. But we've made it. End of the week. I hope to put a smile on your face. We have a great show coming up. A few things we're going to do. First of all, we're going to move on up. We're going to be heading upwards to the world's skinniest skyscraper. Really cool story. We'll also have the full forecast, new AKQ, and I'll show you an unbelievable encounter for a nature lover and with one of the world's largest owls. You won't believe some of the pictures here. Really neat story, so I'm eager to share that with you. And we're going to play a round of The Price Is, say it with me, What? That's coming up. But our first stop here as we begin our show, this is episode 52, is going to be in New York. And I should say a very warm welcome, by the way, to our viewers on YouTube. Always appreciate you watching us live there as well. But this is an interesting story because there's a brand new landmark on the Manhattan skyline now, right? It's called the Steinway Tower, and it is officially, construction is complete, and it is the world's skinniest skyscraper at only 55 feet wide. Now, you have to think about that. So this is a building that's over 1,400 feet, over 80 stories, and it's only 55 feet wide. Let me show you a couple of pictures here. They call it actually pencil towers, and this concept, this development started, back in the 70s in Hong Kong. Technology has changed quite a bit, but it literally, it's like a pencil. You can see how thin it is, overlooking Central Park. And yeah, it's kind of swanky, there's no doubt about it. There are 60 apartments in this tower. The studio apartments, they go for $7.5 million, and the penthouse, which consists of 3 stories, goes for $66 million. But, that would be nice, soaking in a tub overlooking. It looks like the world, right? And I guess the reality is, it's every floor is an apartment because it is only 55 feet, right? And from what I'm reading, that some of the heights of the ceiling are 14 feet. But, I have no doubt of its integrity, although it's so super thin. I mean, I'm sure it's strong. They're saying they used some of the strongest concrete ever developed that can handle 14,000 pounds per square inch of torque. And they have a lot of rebar in it, which is standard, but they've mentioned 5.5 million feet of rebar. And for those who don't know, it's reinforcement bar, little strips of iron that they put inside when they're building the tower through the concrete. But it leads me to the AKQ, guys. Would you live in an 84-story, penthouse? Is that something that you'd want to do? Would you live in an 84-story luxury penthouse? And I was thinking about it. Yeah, come on. If you want it, it'd be kind of neat to, for me anyway, I would be there for maybe a weekend, couple of weekends, and then I would sell it, right? 66 million bucks. I can't see myself place like 5 feet wide. It's not for me. But that's the question for you. The AKQ, the Anwar Night Query. So I ask a question asking for your answers. Would you consider living in an 84-story luxury penthouse? And Jan Ramirez says, I have a fear of heights, so it's not for me. And I think you're not alone, Jan. Truly, I think you're absolutely right. For me, And it doesn't appear that there is a balcony. I could be completely wrong. I didn't see that in any of the photos. But even just, 15, 20 stories going out on a balcony freaks me out. So I think you're right. And, okay, here we go. Olivia says, nope, I would not live in an 80-foot story building, period. Lois says, yeah, don't like heights, LOL. Joyce says, no way, I'm afraid of heights too. Kathy says, no, I'm afraid of heights, and if there ever was a problem, that's true. If there ever was a problem, it'd be a very long walk down. Can you imagine? Even you don't want an emergency, but if you just had to evacuate because they're just out of precaution. Attention. There is no fire, but we need everybody to please vacate the premises. And you're like 84 stories. I would need 911 at the 40th floor. I'd have a cardiac arrest walking down that. Oh, man. Betty says, I would, but not to live there. It's kind of scary, the thought of that height. Yeah, and Christopher, you fooled me. I saw definitely, and then you put not. Vertigo City. Alan says, don't think so. Maybe under 12 floors. Is that your threshold, 12? Is that what it is? I think some people have that, right? They have sort of a maximum. I know when we were looking for a place for my mom, she's in a senior residence, and she said, I don't want a high floor, and because of the fire risk. She says, I want to know that if something goes on, I can go downstairs. So she's on the second floor, and she's happy with that. Leslie says, not for me. Wait until the elevator doesn't work. Isn't that the truth? That little sign that says out of order. Oh, man. Also, Marina says, not at all. I also have a fear of heights. Donna says, no, thank you. Not into it. Barbara Woods says, nope. Kathy says, I like the idea of a penthouse because I love going out and planting and having that entertainment space. Yeah, okay, maybe. I don't know if you'd have outdoor. You may. I don't know. But so you're thinking that may work for you. Oh, Jan says, I hardly even take elevators now. And Carol says, I would have to live there by myself. Can't get my husband past. I can't get my husband past the 8th floor. Well, maybe that's the best of both worlds. You get an 8th floor apartment for hubby at $7.5 million, and then when you're done, in terms of, hey, you know what? It's time for our own space. Up you go, right? That might work. And let's face it, if you're spending $70+ million on two places, privilege is all what your life was about. But Narita says, no way. It's scary in case of emergency. No way to go out. And Kathy Murray says, LOL, yeah, and an emergency would be the only downfall. Pardon the pun. Yeah. Adele says, no, I like my feet closer to the ground. Yeah. And Livia says, what happens with the wind? Well, it's funny you say that, Livia, because I think that is why they mentioned in the press release about the strongest concrete. I did read, in particular, in the penthouse, they have dampers that are able to funnel the air, because you're right. To some extent, it is going to move a little bit. In fact, they say the CN Tower even does that in super strong winds, but it's designed to do that. I don't know. I'm putting my faith in the engineering community that they would have done all the tests before they built that. But I bet the higher you go, to some extent, if it was really, really windy, you might see, things moving a little bit, and that would be kind of freaky. I would agree with that. Ann says, my parents bought a condo on the 7th floor. There was the highest, that was the highest my mom would go because firemen's ladders only reach up to the 7th floor. Smart thinking, you see? So anyway, we'll continue to connect. That is the AKQ for today. I want to go to our next story. It takes us to Chicago, and it'll be on the ground floor, so that's good. It's at the Lincoln Park Zoo, and this is a fascinating story. Zookeepers at this animal park have cut off the screen time for Anwar the gorilla. Let me show you what Anwar looks like, and in these photos, you'll also notice they've put up, that little rope line, that barrier that is keeping visitors at a distance from looking at Anwar. So you can still take pictures and get up close, but they want you at a distance. Then they've added some extra patrolling there. So this is the story. Now, Anwar loves that perch right there. He loves being in that corner where the glass is. And obviously for visitors, look, you can get really close to a gorilla. You're going to take pictures. But they've noticed as people were taking pictures that Anwar was reacting to the phone in their hand. So some of them started turning over the phone and just showing him pictures just to see what he would do. And he would be fixated on the phones. So this was the issue. They say that what's happening is that this teenage gorilla is getting distracted, so distracted to the point that his behavior is starting to change. He's missing vital clues from other gorillas. That he needs to learn, a teaching moment on how to interact with, the rest of the family. So just like you would, Mom and Dad, cut off your teenage kid, they're cutting off the screen time for Anwar the gorilla. And again, they say, it's not about limiting visitors, from taking photos. We encourage that, and it's all part of the experience. But they don't want you interacting with the gorilla and showing him the screen, the light and the images, because he just sort of is transfixed. So isn't that something? It started with one person doing this, and the gorilla was looking at it, and then maybe some people saw it and go, hey, check this out, maybe took a selfie, and then it got out. So they're going to limit that because they're afraid at the end of the day, if Anwar doesn't learn and get the social interaction cues from the other gorillas, he may be bullied going forward, and that's something you don't want. He needs to establish his place, right, as a male. So I thought it was, almost sad but fascinating. I think this is part of the learning curve when you have, animals that are on display. And I'm a big supporter of zoos like the Toronto Zoo. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need them, but the reality is animals continue to be poached, and they're on the verge of extinction. We lose species every day. This is the one, place, as long as it's what we call CASA accredited, which is sort of a certification of how you care for the animals. And the zoo is world famous for preservation and conservation, trying to reestablish certain species. So, I'm a big thing about, kids being engaged. You can watch a video on YouTube, but to get face-to-face with a living creature, like a gorilla or maybe a hippopotamus, maybe a lion, that's where you start to nurture the next ambassadors for nature. They see how fascinating it is. And they're intrigued by it, so they want to protect it. So, that's my Oprah moment on zoos, if you will. But I found it a fascinating story, really something. Nancy says, parental guidelines, too funny. Yes, indeed. Livia says, beautiful gorilla. Yeah, gorillas, that's one of my bucket lists, to go into a reserve and to watch gorillas, to do one of those tours. I think it would be just amazing. And, on a side note to that, COVID is a big risk. Even to this day, if you do, even at the zoo for that matter, if I'm not mistaken, to this day, they're still implementing masks because of the safety of the animals. Because they can get it, gorillas can get it. And some had to be euthanized. Some, I believe it was in, I don't know if it was Chicago or New York, where some of the gorillas actually are getting some human vaccines to try to protect them, and out in the wild. If you did one of those tours, they are be very, very careful, because that literally could make one species extinct if COVID gets passed in around, right? So anyway, I thought it was very interesting. So as we continue here, I want to get into our forecast. Then we're going to play The Price is What, and we'll get into the nod to nature and that sort of thing. But we want to get into the weekend because there are a couple of flies in the ointments. We'll start off by letting you know that the weather is brought to you by the Big Blue Marble Podcast. Listen in to undeniable stories of our changing planet and the amazing people trying to save it. It's available now on your favorite podcast player, as well at bigbluemarble.earth and on my website at www.anwarnight.com. You'll get all the links there, and you can listen to the episodes. And by the way, at bigbluemarble.earth, you can also subscribe to my monthly newsletter. It's free, it goes to your inbox. It's only once a month, and it's an extension. We can't cover all the stories on the podcast, but these are other, great little reads of what's going on the planet, and sometimes there's usable tips you can apply in your own home or your household, and you can find the subscription link right on that website on the homepage at bigbluemarble.earth. I'll be sending out April's newsletter in about a week's time or so if you'd like to engage with that. Okay, let's take a look at the national map. I'll show you where we're at. And what we got going on here is a pretty unsettled pattern overall. What is happening is that we have a couple of lows. There's a upper level low that is here, and as a result, that is going to linger through the weekend. And it's not a washout, but certainly nothing to brag about, that's for sure. It'll slowly fixate itself and park itself. Right now, it's situated over Lake Michigan. and it'll help spiral some waves of moisture into the region. And I think with lake breeze influence, we could also see a thunderstorm in some areas of southern Ontario. Isolated pockets also of some grapple, little ice pellets in the forecast. But you can see it's unsettled. That being said, there have been some sunny breaks, and it's relatively mild. So that's the good part. Let's take a look at the forecast for the GTA, and we'll show you what it looks like. So in around the Toronto area, we'll see cloud cover with a few sunny breaks and some isolated showers. And we've seen a little bit of that already in the last 90 minutes. Nothing significant, but it's there. And a high of 10 degrees. Variable cloudiness with a risk of a shower, low of 3 degrees. And then as we get into southern Ontario, mainly cloudy with scattered showers, risk of a thunderstorm. And the greatest risk will likely be in and around the Stratford area, Barrie and Peterborough. We could see a very quick fair. I'm not forecasting anything that is severe by any means. And 6 to 11 degrees tonight, cloudy with evening showers ending, and then some scattered flurries. I know. Scattered flurries in the forecast, so that's something that we need to be watching accordingly. -3 to 2 degrees, so it'll be -3 in Peterborough, 0 in Kingston, and 2 in Windsor. And then as we look at the 5-day trend, overall, I think it's okay. It's nothing to brag about, as I mentioned, but as we break it all down for you, tomorrow we'll get some sunny breaks early morning, and then the clouds thicken up, showers develop, and I think the window on that is like 11 to 4, maybe 5 p.m., and you'll get 8 degrees. Sunday, there's a risk of a shower. We'll get a mix of sun and cloud, 8 degrees. 10 on Monday, again a mix, and then it warms up on Tuesday with sunny breaks and scattered showers. The high, though, 16 degrees, but again, wet. Now, this April showers me flowers, whatever that's worth. But at least we're getting something into the teens, because this is kind of dragging on. What can we do to fix that? I want a whole string of days into the teens, and I don't want to be greedy. I don't need 18, 19, just give me 13. Give me 4 or 5 days of 13 degrees. I'm a happy man, but we'll see where it goes. Anyway, okay, so it is the Here and There Show. This is episode 52. We're streaming live. And you guys ready to play a game? You know what it's called? It's called, cue the music, The Price is What? You have to say it like that. It doesn't work any other way, all right? So let's get things underway. The Price is What? Very easy if you're new to this game. And Linda says, sorry, the S word is not permitted. No kidding, Linda. But if you're new, this is how we play. So I'm going to show you an actual item that is up for sale on an online classified website, very popular website. You try to list the price without going over, and if you can, please list the number sign next to the item so I know when you guys are giving us, your best price, I know which one you're relating to, because sometimes there's a bit of delay with the live stream. All right, so let's get this underway. The price is, say it with me, what? This is item 1, first item, and it is the Snoopy Pilot. That is the 1966 Snoopy Pilot Red Baron Doghouse Plain Peanuts pullback toy. How's that? That's the official title, and apparently it still works, if that matters to you. How much? How much do you think this particular person is asking for? And I have to be honest with you, I've never been a Peanuts fan. I always thought Snoopy and Charlie Brown, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I just thought it was Mickey Duck. I just never got it. I know it's iconic, it's been there for a long time, but it just never did it for me. And then, when Canada's Wonderland, it became their mascots. I'm like, oh, please, really? Anyway, some will say, Snoopy's the king, man. Not for me, but how much? How much? So we go to the board here, and we have Alan is saying $50. Linda says 5. Whoa, there's a big spread. Helen says 25. Lois says $75 for the vintage Snoopy Pilot. Oh, Ann says, I have that. Okay, so how much would you pay for another one, out of curiosity? But it's neat that you have it. Adele says 55. Cindy says 55. Livia says $500. Maybe Livia knows something we don't. Andrea puts 75 on the board. Kathy says some of these make me laugh. I say $50. Joanne says 25. Miranda says 5. So does Linda. Kathy. Nancy says $15, sort of in the middle. Jan says 60. And Lorraine says 150. And Catherine says, TGIF, greetings from Toronto. A little late-ish. Have a great weekend, all. I cannot even guess any of your Prices What selections, but they are hilarious. Thanks for the laughs. Great to have you, Catherine. Appreciate that. Shar says 100. She's on the board with that. Christopher, Very savvy. $19.99. Ooh. Joyce says 35, and Narita says not good in pricing. Well, that's okay. You can take a guess. And Jill says, sorry I'm late. It's okay. It's all right. We're glad to have your company on a Friday. And Ann says $5 on the board. The actual price for the 1966 Snoopy Pilot Red Baron Doghouse Plain Peanuts pullback toy is $25. Oh, we had a few people who guessed that. Good for you. And I mean, me personally, maybe 50 cents at a garage sale, but that's just me. Elizabeth, by the way, got in there and said $100, and Ann said $5. All right, here's item number 2. I thought this was very cool. And who knew that you could buy an airplane, and not a Snoopy one, but a real airplane? A 1965 Beechcraft A-23 Musketeer airplane. No idea what all of that means. You know, I hear that and I just think, okay, well, there's a plane that's 60 years old, right? Is it still able to fly? I'm assuming it is. I always thought that airplanes, you know, they're sold on the number of flight hours. I could be wrong. If somebody knows, correct me. But according to this owner, it has a new interior, panel-mounted Garmin GPS, which you think these days that should be a staple, although it is an older aircraft. And he lists a whole bunch of other tech stuff, which I have no idea means. But I did do a little research. Apparently it's a trainer aircraft, well known for its spacious compartment and powerful structural design. It has a wingspan of 32 feet 9 inches. So it's not fitting in my garage. That's a certainty. But how much would you pay for this? Now, maybe you have to be the guy who's also, you know, got the $66 million penthouse. But how much would you pay for this 1965 Beechcraft airplane? Let's take a look here. And, okay, so Tammy says, happy Friday, all. Connie says, I should have guessed. Livia says, $3,000. Okay. Lois says, $1,500. And Alan says, $6,500. Helen says, $2,500. Miranda says 35, so does Lorraine, 3,500 that is. Adele says 5,000. Jayanne says 4,000. Joanne says 7,500. Ooh, big spender, Joanne. You know something definitely what's going on here. And Linda says 125,000. I have no clue. And I picture you saying that. I have no clue. Connie says 10,000. Kathy says 1,500. Jill says 135,000. Nancy says, I couldn't even guess, but I'm thinking probably very, very pricey. Maybe. Also, Joyce says 2,500, and Patrick says 150,000. Andrea says 3,000. So, it is the 1965 Beechcraft A-23 Musketeer. I'll take 2 more bids. Cindy says 15,000 for the aircraft that has the panel-mounted GPS. And Elizabeth says 8,000. The actual price is $69,900. Just under 70,000 bucks for this 60-year-old aircraft. I'm assuming that's a deal. I don't know, but I thought it was kind of cool that you could just buy a plane on an online classified spot. No, is that just me? I thought it was cool. Oh, Kathy says, by the way, when I think of a price, it may not necessarily be something I pay. I'm guessing what they might sell it for. Okay. Are you taking this personal, Kathy? Is that what it is? I'm not judging. Honestly, I'm not judging. Joanne says, woozers. And Kathy Maria says, boy, I was off with that guess. Connie says, wow. Yeah, I guess. I just thought it was really neat. And I'm assuming the guy or girl who's selling it, I mean, obviously, they know about airplanes. They know what it would be worth. Then again, maybe it's just a grandkid who inherited it and said, I don't want it, and wants to sell it and make some coin. Anyway, let's do our final item. Here you go. It's number 3, and it is, believe it or not, a prosthetic leg. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you need it, it's there. I don't know if I personally would want something that somebody else is wearing, but you know what? For some people, maybe, I don't know if insurance covers this sort of thing. If you really need it, maybe this is common. This fits below the knee. The seller admits that the foot is stained from the shoe that it was in. Yeah, I'm with you. Somebody has said, ew, and I know, but I guess if you need it. I have no idea when I first saw this what it would be worth, or if this is even common, used body parts, but it is an actual item. So we're asking you, and we've got our first guest on the board by Cindy, $15. Andrea says 45. Helen says 75. Livia says 10. Jill Fraser says 200. Connie says 3,500. And Angelica, Angelica says that's creepy. You know, I didn't want to say that. It kind of is, isn't it? But I don't want to negate that maybe for some people, this might be their only option. Again, I don't know what it's like in terms of coverage and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm with you. Who said weird here? Oh, Linda Warrington says weird at $20. Joanne says 50. JN says 50. Joanne says, what the heck, 1,000. Lois adds, 25. And Adele says 10,000. Wow. Okay. I guess what's the price of mobility? Oh, kidding aside, right? No, thank you, not interested, says Kathy. Joyce says $125. Leslie says 500, and ew. Very creepy, says Helen. Kathy Murray says 500. Really, a total guess. Is it a left or right foot? You know, I have to be honest with you. It looks like a left foot. I don't know if it matters, though. I could be wrong. I think it's a generic because it doesn't look like the foot is curved. I could be wrong. But it's, boy, you guys really want to know stuff now. Diane adds, is it adjustable? I don't know. It's not my leg. It doesn't say. I guess. I don't know. And Nancy says, I sure hope this would be covered by OHIP. I would give it away if someone needed it. Well, that's true, right? If somebody, you know, it wasn't covered, you'd just say, you know what? If this puts a smile on your face, you can have it. $50, says Anne. Miranda says 50. And Connie says, take a look. It must be a left foot. You know, I don't know, though. I think it's just sort of straight. I could be wrong. You could be right. I don't know. Diane says, ha, ha, ha. So does Joanne. It is bizarre, but again, who are we to judge, right? Let's take a couple of more guesses. Again, this is the prosthetic leg, and it's up for sale. And this is on the Here and There show on The Price Is What? Kathy Murray says you should have a laugh meter here. Maybe so. Any other guesses? Final guesses before we wrap this up. Any other guesses? Going once? Going twice? And the actual price is, for the prosthetic, right or left, still to be determined, $150. Wow. I'm thinking it might be a good deal. $150. There you have it. And that concludes this edition of The Price Is What? Okay, let's get into our nod to nature now. And I want to share this to you. It's a really great story. Have you ever seen a great gray owl? Because they do live in Ontario. Admittedly, they're elusive for the most part. Not easy to spot despite its size. But it is a favorite for nature lovers because it is such a large bird. A lot of nature photographers head out for the day. Let me show you why. Take a look here and see some of the features, because one of the signature features of the great gray owl, it's a beautiful raptor with that signature big round head, and this video will show some of those images. And it has that gray face with, of course, the yellow eyes, right? That pierce head. Woo! Ah, I see you! You know, what was interesting, there was a photographer who was indeed looking to capture one the other day in Quebec, and this creature made it easy. Take a look at this. It perched on her camera. It went right to her and sat there for about 30 seconds. There were other photographers nearby, so they snapped pictures of the lucky encounter. And some bird experts think that it could be because this photographer was wearing a white jacket, blended in with the snowfall in Quebec, where she was, and was very still. So it may have mistaken it basically for a tree. And it just sort of went there. These owls cover a lot of territory. They prefer to live in a forest near a clearing, and they need that. This is fascinating because they actually listen for rodents running beneath the snow, and then they pounce through the snow and get it. How cool is that? They're big birds. They'll eat 7 mice a day. Yeah. So that's why they're growing. I mean, they eat a lot of food. and it is our latest entry into our Nod to Nature file. Isn't that beautiful? Christopher says, wise old owl is a misnomer. Apparently owls aren't terribly clever. Well, I have to be honest with you. Experts also said that this particular species of owl apparently is not afraid of humans, and it may be just because of its size. And maybe generally speaking, there was never a threatening encounter. If you're getting close to that owl because they're elusive, you're usually not harming it. I'm just guessing. But there you have it. Alice is very cool looking. And Adele says, sorry, I've got to go. Have all a great weekend. Well, we're wrapping up anyway, Adele. Thank you so much. Beautiful and majestic, says Donna. Program note, tomorrow I'm going to be hosting our final episode of the Peel Crime Stopper Senior Care Live Tour. We stream live at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And coming up on the show, we're going to share some important tips about door-to-door sales scams. You know, there are new laws that were put into place to prevent consumers being scammed from door-to-door sales. But still, they're ringing the doorbell, knocking on the door, and they're getting away with fraudulent sales. So we'll give you some tips on that. Plus, we'll look how Peel Police provide emergency services in over 100 languages. And we'll also celebrate with some more super seniors. It's going to be a great show. Again, streaming live at the Viva Mississauga Retirement Community tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. Share this with your friends, with your circle. It can make a real difference. We've had great feedback from people on the tips, and that's what it's about, is having some fun, you know, being engaged, but also learning. And not only for seniors, although we're specifically focusing a lot of our material for seniors because they're more vulnerable and scammers tend to target them. But some of the tips that we're sharing really can apply to anybody and literally around the world. So I hope you'll join me then tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for the Peel Crime Stoppers Senior Care Live Tour. Until then, my friends, thank you so much for your company today. I appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Great way to end off a week. Thank you for your support. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please support the show. Parade of Hearts, like, share the page. Please share it with at least one other person today, and be sure to follow my page as well as we continue to grow. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for that. Please like and subscribe to my channel. We're starting to get more and more people also enjoying it on YouTube, so I appreciate that. Have yourself a safe and happy weekend. Until tomorrow morning, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.